We were this close to $40 silver, and then something dramatic happened. We're going to talk about what that was and why there are still very many people who are very optimistic that we're going to see that $40 silver soon. Let's talk about it as we explore. And I'm not one of those people, according to the latest poll that I put on my live stream for the Market Watch on Sunday, that we would see $40 silver by this Friday. Now, according to that poll, 66% of you thought that would happen. And it very well might, despite the pretty big pullback that we saw today. I'm going to get into that in a moment, but silver has hit a resistance around 39 and change level. In fact, the top where silver went is $39.21. That was the top of the market for silver for the trading day. It is now down 0.37%. I'm going to talk about the other precious metals here in a moment, but first, I want to remind you, channel sponsor Summit Metals. Summit Metals are making a name for themselves for being the top of some of the bullion dealers out there, hence the name. So you can elevate your wealth with Summit Metals. Check them out at summitmetals.com. So the whole precious metal complex is down today, with gold suffering the least, which really bears true to my argument of one of the reasons why I have moved more towards gold than silver, although I still believe in silver, and I still believe silver is undervalued. Gold only dropped 0.34% today, moments before the markets close. It is trading down $11.38 at $3,345.50. Silver has not dropped that much more. It is now down just 14 cents, 0.36, but it did fall to just right above $38 earlier in the trading session. It is now resting at $38.31, recovering some of its losses, still above 38. This is still good news for silver, no question about that. Platinum and palladium, though, they got hit much harder. Both those metals took a plunge today, down over 2% for both of them. And even though we saw silver hit this resistance just above $39, it still has plenty of momentum to challenge its 2011 all-time highs, according to one market analyst. After reaching a nearly 14-year high overnight, silver is experiencing a strong selling pressure right now, and that is exactly right. If you look at what happened at the chart, there's a heavy volume of activity that has occurred around 3 o'clock or so Eastern time, and it plunged dramatically with massive selling and heavy volume consistently, and it is down, got smacked down with that heavy selling. Some people liken that to what the bullion banks are doing with the shorts, because remember, as I'm warned, they're going to try to minimize their losses if they can for the short positions. I think this may be, one could make an argument that this was an attempt at doing just that. Yea, though, the market conditions and the geopolitical environment and is set in place, and that includes tariffs on other nations, including Mexico, the fear that they could add tariffs to silver coming in from Mexico, has caused silver to go back up and climb back up and recover about half of its losses today. So, anyways, we're going to get into some of the more bullish aspects of what's out there for silver, which I'm not quite there yet. However, I'm open-minded for it. But, I've seen a lot in the trading here over the years, and it's great to be excited, but we got to be also tempered, I guess, in a sense, in our excitement, and be as realistic as possible as what could happen with the price of silver. But I am just close to being cautiously optimistic, but I still think we have room for it to come back down a bit once things settle down. But who knows when that'll be? That's the whole point. And nonetheless, after reaching this 14-year high, Nick Crawley, contributing analyst for Solomon Capital, said that several factors are aligning in silver's favor, which should support higher prices. Let's see what he means. And we saw the silver spot price is set to move higher over the near term and test the psychological chart resistance at the $40 level. before prior monthly highs of $43.35 per ounce and $44.24 per ounce, which we saw in September and August of 2011, respectively, and they come into play. But the thing is, it's a very different situation now than it was in 2011. So that's where I may part from his analysis on that. Crawley noted that industrial demand is providing solid fundamental support for the precious metal, and he added that silver's role as a monetary metal is fueling the new momentum. But remember, we've had now in our fifth year of a deficit in silver, and it has not had the impact that we've seen this year. And I think a lot of what we're seeing this year is more heavily weighted towards the immediate geopolitical concerns and also domestic economic concerns. Currency debasement typically drives investors towards hard assets, and silver and gold have benefited from this trend. The dollar's weakness stems partly from ongoing concerns that U.S. inflation may remain sticky due to proposed tariffs and other policy measures, said Crawley. And I don't want to get into that. Well, I've already talked about that ad nauseum. You know, inflation and tariffs are factors that lead to price increases. There's no relation to each other. These inflationary fears have triggered a renewed surge in demand for safe haven currencies and precious metals. Investors are increasingly seeking protection against potential currency devaluation and purchasing power erosion, making silver an attractive hedge against economic uncertainty. And I tell you what, those words by this analyst I think are quite powerful. Here we are, we're looking at silver as a precious metal. Now, for those of you in this community, the stacking community, that's a no-brainer. We've known that for years. So why does this excite me? Well, I think it's because we're starting to see silver react in such a way and looking at the industrial demand and other factors that cause people to take a second look at silver who may have looked at it as an industrial commodity before and now see it as a hedge now. An opportunity, if you will, which could spark a strong retail buying, which in a sense we've already seen after Friday's massive surge in price. We'll see how that plays out. And at the same time, silver is also expected to benefit from an eventual shift in U.S. monetary policy. Although markets are not pricing in any rate cuts later this month, there's still strong expectations that the Federal Reserve will begin easing rates in September. And even if they wait, as long as there's buzz that they're going to do it sometime this year, that could bode well for silver's prices. Should U.S. interest rates decline significantly, the environment would become even more favorable for a range of precious metals. Lower rates reduce the opportunity cost of holding non-yielding assets like silver and gold, potentially driving prices substantially higher. Unless the fundamental backdrop changes, silver appears well positioned to extend its impressive rally and reach new multi-year highs in the coming weeks, said Crawley. And I guess that's possible, but remember, there is opportunity selling out there too. And that's a friendly way of saying that if you believe in price suppression, that's going to happen, but it could just be profit taking. However you interpret that, that is something we have to keep in mind as we're seeing these multi-year highs for silver. And you make no mistake, in the paper market, there's going to be some people that are going to want to take profits from that. No matter what the motivation, that is something we should keep in mind, especially if it turns out that Trump's tariffs on Mexico, the 30%, does not include silver. Then I think it could mean that the markets will calm down and the price will subside further. Now, again, as I mentioned in my prior video, which was an unpopular opinion that we could see a consolidation, I'm not necessarily claiming victory yet for this consolidation today. No, I am not. Because it's starting to come back around. In fact, as I'm watching the markets right now, there's another attempt to push it back down again. Literally within the last few minutes, it's come down a little bit more. But that's all right, because I think the bulls really are in demand right now, and I think they very well may win out, at least to some extent, to prevent it from falling much further. So there's going to be a war back and forth. There's going to be a push and pull in the markets, but we'll see. He says although silver is poised to move higher, he noted that he does not expect it to continue outperforming gold. Silver's brief spike above $39 pushed the gold to silver ratio to 85.88, which is its lowest point since December. The ratio has dropped nearly 20% from its April highs above 107. Now, according to statistics I quoted before, the 10-year average is 80 to 1, which really blows my mind, really. But so we're 5 away from that, 5 ounces away from that. The spread is back to a multi-year trading channel, and the MACD indicator suggests the spread is becoming oversold. To further, silver's outperformance against gold is likely to be limited in the coming months, said Cowley. So that really is, in a sense, what this analyst is saying, and we'll see how that plays out and see if he's right about it or not. So he's limited in his bullish nature for silver and doesn't give you an actual price target. Although it has reached my revised prediction of silver for the end of the year, which means that I've been right 2 times now for silver this year in terms of my price targets. Now, will it go higher? Well, I'm going to have to really think long and hard before I make a 3rd revision to see if I'm right again. And you know me, I'm going to be conservative in my guess, but many of you have predicted that we're going to see $40 an ounce by this Friday. And I'm telling you what, folks, I very well could be wrong about that for this week, and you very well may be right. And I hope you are. It would be nice to see silver break through that psychological number. It's exciting times we live in. No matter who's right or no matter who's wrong, the reality before us here is that silver is in the game, and it is defying the summer doldrums, and that's exciting. Let me know what your thoughts are below, and if you want to find out about gold and what Trump could do with it, check out the video here at the end screen. You're not going to want to miss that. I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.